Hey everybody, it's Daily Dictation 16, DD16, but let's go back to Daily Dictation number 15. Listen one more time. Did you get the answers?
The frantic pacing, scene changes every 11 seconds on average, often leaves kids zoned out and spun up, unable to concentrate.
Okay, it was very difficult, but let me help you. Now, this article is negative. It is not pro SpongeBob. It's a little bit negative SpongeBob. Why? Because of the frantic pacing. The frantic pacing, that's the key. Pacing basically means speed. Speed. So let's just change it. Pacing means speed. The frantic pacing, the frantic speed. What does frantic mean? Frantic means loss of control. There's no control. It's extremely high tempo. It's very, very fast. Uncontrollable fast. Losing control. So, for example, I had a frantic day. I was doing this, and then I was doing this, and then I was doing this, and I was busy, I was looking here and there, and I was doing so many things. Ah! Frantic. Crazy. So busy, so fast, it's crazy. Frantic. Nowadays, the stock market is very frantic. Yeah, it's frantic. Frantic news. Lots of news is frantic. Things are happening very fast. The television show SpongeBob has frantic pacing. Let's talk about other children's shows. For example, Sesame Street. Sesame Street is pretty relaxed. It's nice. It's slow-paced. Do you know the show Teletubbies? Wow, Teletubbies is very slow. The opposite of frantic. If you watch SpongeBob, there's lots of activity. Things are moving and things are changing, and we see SpongeBob, then we see something else, then we see something else. Every time the picture changes or the camera changes, we call that a scene change. A scene change. So the frantic pacing, the very, very rapid speed, the high speed. So the sentence actually is, the frantic pacing often leaves kids zoned out and spun up. We could change the sentence, the frantic pacing often leaves kids unable to concentrate. That's the key. The frantic pacing often leaves kids unable to concentrate. But let's talk about this section. Scene changes every 11 seconds on average. This describes this. What kind of frantic pacing? How is the pacing so frantic? Why is the speed considered so fast? Because scene changes. Scene changes every 11 seconds on average. Sometimes 5 seconds, sometimes 15 seconds, but on average, every 11 seconds, the scene changes. Very quick. Sesame Street, very slow. Teletubbies, really slow. SpongeBob, boom, boom, boom. The scene changes every 11 seconds on average. Now, let's talk about pronunciation. Frantic pacing, FP, FP, frantic pacing. Scene changes every. Whenever we have no consonant, we need to connect. 11, no consonant. On, no consonant. Average, no consonant. So that means, if we say it quickly, we need to connect sounds, connect sounds, connect sounds, connect sounds. Changes every 11, changes every 11, changes every 11 seconds, seconds on, Seconds on. In America, we say on. When you see on, most Americans pronounce it on. Seconds on average, on average. Changes every 11 seconds on average. Changes every 11 seconds on average. Scene changes every 11 seconds on average. Frantic pacing. Why frantic pacing? Scene changes every 11 seconds on average. So this frantic pacing is bad. Why is it bad? Because many times, it tends to leave kids, in this case often leaves kids. We have a singular subject, so our verb has an S. It often leaves kids. It often leaves, to leave someone in some state. The meal, the spaghetti meal, left me full. Running the marathon race left me tired. The beers left me drunk. The sad movie left me in tears. The frantic pacing leaves kids zoned out and spun up. Now, we have two phrasal verbs, two-word verbs, an action verb and a preposition, an action verb and a preposition. What do these mean? Zoned out, we have to connect the sound. Zoned out means spaced out. It means you've lost all concentration. This is the idea of zoned out. I'll start okay, and then I'll become zoned out. Watch. Sorry, I was zoned out. My mind is gone. Sometimes when people watch TV, you look at them, oh my God, that person is gone. He is zoned out. So when kids watch SpongeBob, they become zoned out. Or they become spun up. Spun up. Now, when we have a two-word verb, a phrasal verb with up, the preposition up, it emphasizes, the up emphasizes the verb. For example, eat up, clean up, shut up. In this case, spun up. So, eat up. Eat up means eat everything. Everything on your plate, eat it up. Eat everything. Clean up means clean perfectly, completely clean. Shut up means shut up completely. Don't say anything. And here we have spun up. Present tense would be spin up. What does spin up? A similar word, spun up, similar in meaning would be wound up. Wound. W-O-U-N-D. Wound? No. Wound up. And the present tense would be wind. Wind up. So, I got a watch. Now usually, this watch actually uses a battery. But a long time ago, if you want your watch to operate, you need to wind up the watch, right? You have to twist it, you have to wind it up. Wind means to spin. You spin it up. So sometimes kids are watching SpongeBob and they're like, but inside, their insides are getting wound up like a watch. And if you get too wound up, if you keep winding up, what happens? You spin out of control. You become crazy. So if somebody is very hyperactive, we can say that person is spun up. That person is wound up. So when kids watch SpongeBob, they become spaced out, they become zoned out, and then they become wound up or spun up. And because of this, they become unable to concentrate. And the pronunciation, unable to, it sounds like a duh, unable to concentrate, unable to concentrate. Okay, so the original sentence, let's go to the simple sentence. The frantic pacing often leaves kids unable to concentrate. What kind of frantic pacing? Scene changes every 11 seconds on average. Why unable to concentrate? Because the frantic pacing often leaves kids zoned out and spun up. Do you understand? Good. Say it with me slowly. The frantic pacing, scene changes every 11 seconds on average, often leave kids zoned out and spun up, unable to concentrate. In America, almost always there's no T. Often, often, often. Let's say it faster. Faster this time. The frantic pacing, scene changes every 11 seconds on average, often leaves kids zoned out and spun up, unable to concentrate. Now let's try and say it a little bit faster. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. The frantic pacing, scene changes every 11 seconds on average, often leaves kids zoned out and spun up, unable to concentrate. So it was difficult. Yes, I know. Listen to the reporter and try and say it with the reporter. Good luck.
The frantic pacing, scene changes every 11 seconds on average, often leaves kids zoned out and spun up, unable to concentrate. The frantic pacing, scene changes every 11 seconds on average, often leaves kids zoned out and spun up, unable to concentrate.
Okay, now it's time for DD16, Daily Dictation 16. Sad story. The Philippines, the island nation in the Pacific Ocean, they have had a very difficult time recently. 2 typhoons. Now in the Atlantic Ocean, we have hurricanes. So hurricanes hit America. But in the Pacific Ocean, we use the word typhoons. As far as I know, it's the same thing. But these typhoons, they've had 2 typhoons in about a week. It's really terrible. The story is about the Philippines. So listen carefully, and good luck, and I'll see you next time.
Battered, soaked, and flooded. The Philippines is being hit by its 2nd typhoon in a week. Battered, soaked, and flooded. The Philippines is being hit by its 2nd typhoon in a week. Battered, soaked, and flooded. The Philippines is being hit by its 2nd typhoon in a week. Battered, soaked, and flooded. The Philippines is being hit by its 2nd typhoon in a week.